All right, hi second grade, Mrs. Houston here. We are going to be going through your chapter 12 English practice sentences, and hopefully this will help you get ready for your test that you have this week. So, like I said before, do this at your own pace. So if I'm going too fast for you, the nice thing about having this video is you can always pause it, or you can go back and rewind it and watch it again to make sure that you understand it correctly. Okay, so go at your own pace. If you want to do all the sentences first and then use this to check your work, that's fine. Or you can just watch it and do it along with me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So number 1 says, my dad laughed at Twyla and Matthew in their silly costumes. So like I told you before, it is nice to find your prepositional phrases first, because once we find them, we can act like they're not there anymore, right? So the first preposition I see is the word in. So I'm going to label that P and put my parenthesis. In what? In their silly costumes. And costumes is a noun, so I know that's going to be my OP, my object of the preposition. Okay. The word silly would say what kind of costumes? Silly costumes. And it's modifying a noun, and that means it has to be an adjective. Also the word their, we'd say whose silly costumes? Their silly costumes, like they own it, right? So that is a PP, a possessive pronoun. Okay, so we have our prepositional phrase done. I see another preposition. The word at is a preposition. So at who or at what? At Twyla and Matthew. So it looks like we have 2 objects of the preposition. And I know that there's also 2 because in between them I see one of my conjunctions. Remember, my conjunctions are labeled with a C, and they're and, but, or, right? And so we have the conjunction and, so that makes these compound, more than one, right? Okay, so now that all I have left is my dad laughed. All right, so let's find our subject noun. Who is the sentence about, or what is it about? It's about dad. Subject noun, SN. What's being said about the subject? Dad laughed. Verb V. And then we also have the word my. So again, we'd say whose dad? My dad. And that again is a possessive pronoun. Okay. Now to divide, I divide between my subject and my verb. So my complete subject is my dad, and my complete predicate is laughed at Twyla and Matthew in their silly costumes. Ends in a period, and it is a statement, so it is a declarative sentence. And then I'm going to put my pattern. So there you go. All right, let's take a look at number 2. I noticed right away that number 2 is a question, and lots of times questions start with helping verbs. So that's a good thing to look for right away. That's going to help you when you start classifying and finding your verbs. So it says, will you stop at the store for bread, milk, and eggs? So prepositional phrases, I see the preposition at is a preposition. So at what? At the store, object of the preposition. And the is an article adjective. A and the, right? Okay, another preposition I see is for. For what? Well, in this case, it says for bread, milk, and eggs. So this one is listing 3 things. So I actually have, we don't have this very often, but I actually have 3 objects of the preposition. Usually we only have 1 or 2, but this time they're listing, and they have a conjunction that connects them all. So they are all compound. Oops. Okay. So now all we have left in our sentence is, will you stop? Okay. So who is it about? It's about you. So it's a subject pronoun, right? Because you is a pronoun. So you, what's being said about you? You will stop. Remember, we have our helping verb in front because it's a question. Whoops. And we have our main verb, stop. So they had to split the helping verb from the main verb because it is a question. Remember, for question, we have question mark, question, interrogative sentence. So I-N-T. Oh, I'm kind of squished there. Okay. And then to divide, I'm going to divide between you and stop. But I know that will is actually still part of my predicate. So I'm going to double underline will to show that will still goes with, I'll just double underline it all, the rest of the complete predicate. So in this sentence, our complete subject is just you. So that should be underlined once. And put our pattern in. It is pattern 1 because our subject comes first and then our verb. Okay, so there we go. We have the first 2 done. Looks like number 3, we have an exclamatory sentence. It starts with yikes. So we know yikes right away is an interjection. So I'm just going to mark that right away because I see it right from the beginning. Okay, now my sentence says, the floodwater from the river is coming into our house. So prepositional phrases, I see from as a preposition. From what? From the river. Object of the preposition, and the is an article adjective. I also see into is a preposition. Get a little squished here. Into what? Into our house. House is the OP. And our, so we'd say whose house? Our house. Possessive pronoun. So now all I have left is the floodwater is coming. Remember, I can just act like the prepositional phrases aren't there anymore. So who or what is the sentence about? It's about the floodwater. So that's our subject noun. What's being said about the subject? The floodwater is coming. So we have is our helping verb. Coming is our main verb. All right, and then we have the as an article adjective because we have to mark every single word to classify it. Okay, when I divide my sentence, I actually divide after my prepositional phrase right here because the floodwater from the river goes along with the floodwater. It's giving more information about the floodwater, so we have to keep that together. So that's actually part of our complete subject, okay? And then it is an exclamatory sentence because we'd say exclamation point, strong feeling, exclamatory sentence. Okay, pattern 1. All right, last one. Several insects buzz around the streetlight on the corner. I see preposition around. Make sure that you're putting your parentheses or your hug lines around what? Around the streetlight. Object of the preposition. That was an article adjective. I see on as another preposition. On what? On the corner. And that is another article adjective. Okay, I found all my prepositional phrases, so we got that out of the way. All I have left is several insects buzzed. So, who is the sentence about or what is it about? Insects. Subject noun, SN. What's being said about the subject? The insects buzzed. Verb be. What kind of insects? Several. Or actually, now that I think about it, it would probably be how many. So what kind, which one, or how many? Those are all adjective questions, so it'd probably be how many insects? Several insects. So either way, it is still an adjective because it answers one of those questions. All right. And pattern 1, and it is a statement, so it is a declarative sentence. Ends in a period. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And like I said, pause this video if you need to, rewind, rewatch it. But please just take your time so that you fully understand it because there will be some sentences like this on your test this week. And I just want to make sure that you got some good practice in and that you had time to ask questions before you take your test, okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thanks, guys. Miss you.